Socrates said, "Your conscience will tell you what you shouldn't be doing." With that said, it's important to know that sexual desires are not demonic or evil. It's part of being human. However, if you have chosen to refrain from casual sex, multiple partners, or are participating in semen retention, your challenge to yourself always must have precedence over your sexual urges. And that's what we will speak about today. Young men and women need to have two things under their control. If you control these two things, then you control your entire life. Okay? Number one, control your anger. And number two, control your sexual urges. These are spontaneous, unpredictable, and uncontrollable outbursts that show you and everyone else how weak you really are. Getting angry is natural, so I don't say don't get upset. The requirement for sexual intercourse is natural, so I don't say don't feel aroused or stimulated. What I am saying is control these emotions completely, and from there you can control everything about your life. Because if a man can take a deep breath and reject all the incoming emotions of anger by containing it through patience and wisdom and maturity, knowing how, when, and how much to react versus just reacting without rationalization, if a man can get up and move about to get rid of his sexual urges that churn in the gut, that create tingly sensations in sensitive areas, thoughts and urges that make it hard to focus on even petty tasks. If you can build yourself to walk away from these two very emotionally fragile situations, then you are winning. Today we will speak about what happens to us every time we surrender to sexual urges and how this affects your entire personality over a short time. It's important to consider that casual sex and multiple partners bring along with it huge responsibilities, okay? And the most common ones are financial responsibility. At least a little bit of money is required to get lucky. You know this. That's your hard-earned money, and you're blowing it for only momentarily pleasures. If these pleasures had a better outcome, then by all means proceed having sex with as many people as you want. However, unless the person is your moral and ethical and legal partner, there will be no better outcome because both people involved in having sex are only and only and only thinking about themselves. There is no genuine intention for the other person. There is no good outcome over there. And the deeper you diagnose the situation, the problems and the punishments start escalating. Sex is not just two people moving into a state of extreme pleasure. It's about mixing of fluids and energies and thoughts and beliefs and personalities and characters and habits and traits. At least one of you will pick up more than the other. And it's usually the one who is weaker and desperate for love, attention, or even sex. Okay? The other responsibilities that are implicated are emotional responsibilities, both for you and the other person you are having sex with. The momentarily emotions must not lead sexual desires into a bonding relationship that will not work out in the long run. No relationship that starts with sex is a relationship. Listen to that again. No relationship that starts with sex is a relationship. Then there is protective responsibilities and ethical and moral responsibilities. And then there is physical responsibilities. And most delicate of all, if you are in a situation where one of you is cheating on a partner, then you have the responsibility of constantly being secretive and hiding your deeds and truly just living a double life. While many men have perfected these responsibilities and don't think of them as a moral disobedience whatsoever, it still is the reality. it is important to understand that what we have been indoctrinated about, the rewards or repercussions of sex, is only a delusion. Sex is more than copulation between a man and a woman. We all know this, but we choose to ignore it. Just like how we know the ocean is clear, not blue. Even though that's the color the water resonates, it only looks blue caused by the reflection of the sky. We know this, and yet, without thinking, we quickly, foolishly admit that the ocean is blue. Similarly, sex is sacred, not pleasureful. Even though that's the feeling it resonates. We know this because sexual intercourse cannot handle hate or anger while in motion. However, hate and anger and pain can bring with it pleasure, but these are not sacred feelings. So think about this deeply. Is sex a sacred performance or a pleasure performance? Sex is sacred because of its role in accessing peak experiences of love, oneness, and healing. We humans have an innate physical requirement to experience bliss, merging, and ecstasy. Humans have a deep longing for the union of sex and spirit. We should know this and stop being foolish about our sexual activities because you are abusing one of the few sacred acts that man has been given as a reward. Other sacred acts are blessings. This one is a reward. I need you to really think about this. Let me share with you 7 traits you will subconsciously build over time as a result of giving in and surrendering to sexual urges. Okay? Number 1, you will become impulsive. You start developing impulsive traits. Everything you start doing will be less conscious and more impulsive. You begin lying impulsively too. You see where this personality trait will lead you? Number 2, you start becoming cynical. You gradually become cynical from being exposed to a variety of drama just so that you can get laid. You see where this personality trait will lead you? Number 3, you begin to become corrupted, allowing of yourself and your soul to get influenced and possibly corrupted. You see where this personality trait will lead you? Number 4, you become spineless. Your urges make you accept shallow or even abusive treatment, which leads you to no self-respect. You see where this personality trait will lead you? Number 5, you start becoming a cheater. This creates traits of being open to polygamy and infidelity. You see where this personality trait will lead you? Number 6, you begin to become immoral. After a certain amount of time, the brain gets rewired and becomes completely numb to morality. You see where this personality trait will lead you? Later on, it will become very difficult to remain peaceful and joyful in your life. And number 7, which is a big one, you become manipulative. You will, over a very short span of time, know exactly how to manipulate people in order to get what you want. But that won't be long-lived because it will start reflecting off everything you do. You see where this personality trait will lead you? These are some basic and immediate effects of habitually giving in and having no control over your sexual desires. Truth be told, most people who cannot control their sexual urges or have tendencies of returning to casual sex only do so because it all started out in search of love, which could have stemmed from various scenarios from the past. They start to sleep around in order to be loved and accepted or fill a void. However, this continuous repetition of casual sex and sexual freedom is leading that same person who was looking for love further and further away from any possibility of genuine love, receiving or giving. What happens is the urge's requirement for sexual attention then leads to requiring gratification from sexual partners for sexual performance. You see where all these personality traits will lead you? When you give in to your sexual desires, then you are training yourself to build a personality that is okay with lust. Lust is not a good thing. Once you create this trait, then you will direct your life in that manner. Everything you approach will be from a lusting point of view. You will lust over money. You will lust over attention. You will lust over having good time. You will begin to develop a character that will easily be identifiable by others as lustful. And that is not a good thing, my friends. With everything that's trending recently, let me tell you that submitting to your sexual desires is not in any way accepting sexual freedom, but rather indulging in sexual slavery. Your desires now have a complete hold over you. Today, we spoke about why not responding and reacting to your sexual desires is important in order not to build negative personality traits in the future, which all get stemmed from your present sexual lifestyle and choices. Okay? Let me leave you with the reassurance that you are human, and so urges will arise. And if it gets to a point where there is someone, and it's actually going to happen, and you really need it to happen, then that's fine. You also don't want to be walking around angry and frustrated for the next day, the next week, or probably even the next month. So as long as there was thought involved, and as long as you've understood the consequences, and as long as you don't keep going back to surrendering to your urges, then think about it and make a decision, and whatever decision you make, it's okay. However, I'd like to give you a heads up that if you have abstained from sex for 6, 12, 24 months, then having a sexual encounter now will bring guilt with it. And honestly, that is what you require. Whether you decide to go ahead and have sex or not, as long as the guilt is there, and as long as the guilt ensures you do not repeat it again, then don't beat yourself down if you required some human connection after a year or two. Be conscious and be careful on your decisions. You must protect yourself against non-serving desires as much as you can. It will save you from a lot of pain in the future. Okay? Be safe, be positive, and always keep to your commitments.